and they're listening, but will they do or will they act on it, Mr. Chapman? Are they just going to sit there with their 7-course dinner, i.e. their 6-pack and their hot dog, and just let somebody else control them?
Well, I think they're starting to get the message because of unemployment, because of the change in economic and financial circumstances. But it won't hit really home until we have about 35% unemployment. And then you're going to have lots of middle and upper middle class people who have lost their jobs, homes, vehicles. They're on the street. They're living under a bridge. I mean, these are not dumb clots people. These are bright people. And so they're going to say, heck, anything is better than this. Let's go to Washington and find out who did this to us. And so that will be a natural extension of that. And that's when people will begin to act. Unfortunately, it'll be a little late, and violence will ensue. And that's not good, but that's what can be expected. So that's the direction that we're headed in.
Understood. Mr. Chapman, just when we went off, I had this comment about 19 banks doing the stress test. This question came in from New York City. Mr. Chapman, there are 19 banks in the stress test having a total assets that we're being advised of $11.5 trillion. However, technically, 16 of those banks, that's 16 of the 19, already are insolvent according to the feds. If any 2 of them fail, from what I'm getting from the reports, is they will exhaust the current FDIC Bank Deposit Insurance Fund and put it in the rears. What's going to tip them over, and what will happen when 2 or even maybe 3 of these 16 banks that are insolvent collapse? What will happen to the United States, and will it influence the rest of the world?
Well, first of all, they're all bankrupt. And most of the major brokerage firms are as well, and many of the insurance companies are in trouble. And if we see a 4,000 Dow, we're about 8,200 right now, and I believe we will see a 4,000 Dow. And if we do see that, there will be lots more companies and investors and those who are not in trouble now, in trouble then. And so how are they going to solve that problem under the FDIC? It's called print money. The FDIC has already asked for $500 billion. And that's not nearly enough. I mean, they'll need trillions. And the Federal Reserve will print it. And, the inflation will go crazy. And that's what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years. And that's what I keep on telling you in the program. And, you get the basic things that you need: food, filter, a way to protect yourself, and then you get into gold and silver-related assets. It's the only safe place to be. And, this is not a short-term investment. This is a durational investment. It's going to be for a number of years. I mean, the people who have been in that venue since the year 2000 have made a lot of money. But the most important thing is they haven't lost any. And everything else has lost approximately 40 to 50% of its value. We go to a 4,000 Dow, people will be looking at losses of 65 to 70%. And real estate is going to continue to go down. The median will probably go down another 20%, taking the losses from the top to the bottom, or from the top to, say, 6 months to a year from now. They'll take it down probably about 40-45% nationally, but there'll be pockets where residential real estate will have gone down 70%. And then commercial real estate is on its way down because they can't access funds. The banks are getting stuck with all the properties. They don't know what to do with them. And so that further leads to a bankruptcy for lenders. I mean, this is a dog's breakfast. I mean, there's no way back in this thing. And the whole thing's going to collapse eventually. And that's why you listen to this program, to find out what to do to protect yourself. This is irretrievable. There's no way back. It's going to happen. So prepare yourself.
Ask Mr. Chapman his take on what the government's going to lie on Monday in reference to the stress test report that they're supposed to release.
Well, I think you get a captured in total with the word LIE, lie, and that's just what they're going to do. They don't care. They own the system. There are no rules. There are no laws. It's whatever they say they are. It's simple.
So with all the lying that's going on out there, when is the piper going to have to be paid here, Mr. Chapman?
Well, once they pull the plug and once they've got their big war going, and that probably is in the next 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, it's too hard to try to guess when they're going to do this.
Mr. Chapman, you're saying that 2 to 3 to 4 years, with all of this depression, with all of this recession that is here now, I can't see the nation going 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Well, really, I hear that from a number of very intelligent people, and one of the things I've learned in the last almost 50 years of being in markets is that you have to be patient. And things don't happen overnight. It looks like, within 3 months the whole thing's going upside down, and it's not. These people got a lot of power. They got a lot of strings they can pull. There's a lot of things they can do. We know what the final outcome already is going to be. How long are they going to be able to dance on the tip of a needle? We don't know. All we know is it is going to happen, and it's not going to happen quickly. I think one of the big signs will be once American troops are operating in a big way in Pakistan and Israel goes and attacks Iran, that'll be the signal that the plug is going to be pulled on the markets and in the economies and finance. Everything will go down the drain. And they'll blame it all on these war actions. They'll blame it on the Muslims and Al-Qaeda and all of these fictitious things that they've created. This is all orchestrated. It just doesn't happen that way.
Mr. Chapman, the United States and the Allies won the war, World War II, but in effect, did they really lose the war?
No, they won the war, but they started the war. They planned the war. And after the war, look what they did with the Japanese. They became partners. And they've controlled Japan indirectly all those years. And Adolf Hitler was financed from New York and London and Paris by bankers. And where do you think he got his money? Krupp, Thyssen, the big steel makers, IG Farben. In fact, I used to work in their building in Frankfurt when I was in counterintelligence. I'll never forget the dumb waiter they had. But anyway, and any of you who were at station there, know what I'm talking about. And most of the rubble from the war had been cleaned up, but there was still areas where there was buildings that were still blown up, down. But anyway, the point is that wars don't happen, they're planned. The world was in a depression, couldn't get out, so they had another war. When I first went into counterintelligence, I read a book called The War in Ether. First thing I learned was that we had broken the Japanese diplomatic code along with the British in 1937. We knew everything the Japanese were doing. We knew when they were going to attack and everything else. It was a setup. And all those people died for nothing in Pearl Harbor. Our government arranged it so they could get in the war. And that's a fact.
In effect, what you're saying, this is from the girls there in Southern California. In effect, Mr. Chapman, what you're really saying is there was really no difference between Hitler and Saddam Hussein. They were backed by the bankers or somebody behind the scenes. The governments of the world governments gave them the go-ahead to do what they wanted to do, and then turned around and used them as the puppets to start a war. Is that what I'm hearing?